Now, Jamestown is just one settlement in a series of settlements in British North America. As you probably know, there are a total of 13 original colonies. And while I don't need you to know all of the specific colonies, I will need you to know the names of a few. But more importantly, I will need you to understand the regions, the three general colonial regions, which break down as follows: New England, the Middle Colonies, and the Southern Colonies. The differences of these regions, by and large, are the result of geographical features. So, what I want to talk about very quickly is the geography of these three colonial regions to give you a feeling on how that impacts the colonies. Now, Jamestown is in the South, it is in Virginia, pictured here. Let's quickly talk about the geography of the Southern colonies. First of all, the southern colonies of British North America are closer to the equator and therefore are tropical, hot, and humid. Secondly, the soil here is fertile. So, because of these geographic and climatic features, this region is ideal for the growing of cash crops. Now, what are cash crops? We've talked about these before. Cash crops are crops that make profit, and they're usually not food crops. Tobacco is a cash crop. Sugar is a cash crop. Cotton is a cash crop. And as we already discussed, in Jamestown, tobacco is an ideal crop that makes that colony very profitable. Rice is another cash crop, although that is a food that will make the Carolinas very, very rich. Now, as you could probably imagine, as we fast forward a little bit, these plantations that will emerge in southern colonies as a result of these cash crops will require a lot of labor. And while at first that labor is found through indentured servitude, we all know that labor eventually rests on chattel slavery, slaves from West Africa. Now, another interesting factoid about the southern colonies is because of their equatorial climate, mosquitoes are commonplace, and therefore so are tropical diseases like malaria. And so many British colonists will die as a result. So the South kind of looks like this. As a result of the hot, humid climate, it's very, very green. Dense mangroves is pictured here. Rivers and waterways are plenty. An ideal place for growing cash crops. Now let's move to the middle colonies. The middle colonies are the colonies of Pennsylvania, New York, New Jersey. Um, and these colonies have a very different climate. It is more of a temperate climate. We live in a temperate climate, not as hot as the southern climate. The temperate climate has cool winters and warm summers. It's more moderate, not ideal for cash crops, but it is ideal for staple crops, and staple crops are different. Staple crops are staples, they are the center of our diet, things like wheat, oats, and barley. And so settlers here will not grow cash crops, instead will grow staple crops. Some images of what the middle colonies look like today. And you can see lots of small farms where we now know they're growing staple crops. Last, let's look at the New England region. Now, the New England region is up here in purple. Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Rhode Island, and the big one, I'm sorry, I already said Massachusetts. Um, Now, because of its northern status up high in the northern part of North America, it is very cold here with a very short growing season. The winters are very deadly, but on a plus side, there are not a lot of mosquitoes, therefore not a lot of disease. It's dense, forested, and the rocky soil. It's not great for farming. So, what do we turn to here? The primary economic activity in New England are shipbuilding from the dense forests. The groups that settle here will turn to shipbuilding. Also, salt cod from the sea will begin to fish. And in the days before refrigeration, to preserve that fish, we basically made fish jerky. That's called salt cod. Salt cod. Now you'll notice all three regions luckily have wonderful natural harbors. This is ideal because they can export their goods, whether it's ships and salt cod in the north wheat in the middle colonies or tobacco in the southern colonies, all of those can be easily shipped from these natural harbors across the Atlantic to England. And here's what New England looks like. Again, forested, um, um, good for small family farms, but not good for large plantations, as we see in the middle colonies and the southern colonies. And there's an image of a wonderful harbor in New England.